Bristol's historic harbour today. Lively leisure uses with a maritime flavour. But it could have been so different. Car ownership in Bristol doubled in the 50s. In 1966, the council drew up a development plan proposing bold new road schemes to improve traffic flow. There was an expectation that more and more people would commute to new offices in the city centre. And 3 years later, the council announced its intention to close the city docks. They just weren't commercially viable anymore. After all, 90% of shipping used Avonmouth docks, 7 miles downstream at the mouth of the river. Container ships couldn't navigate the River Avon up to the inland port. So, closing the docks would clear a swathe through central Bristol for highways, and bridges would be cheaper because they didn't need to offer clearance for ships. Let's see what was intended. We'll start high above the harbour in what John Betjeman called the finest suburb in England. Classy, conserved Clifton. A major new highway, an inner circuit road, heads up from the M32, through Cottam into Clifton, thrusting relentlessly on past well-loved landmarks, severing Georgian terraces as it goes. South now, heading down the western flank of Brandon Hill on the left, the floating harbour in its sights. At the junction of 3 roads, Anchor, Hotwells and Jacob's Wells, the new highway takes no prisoners. This majestic copse of London plane trees gets sacrificed for a multi-level interchange. And from the junction, on, southwards, just upstream from the SS Great Britain, and then across the new cut through the densely packed suburbs of Southville and Bedminster to Totterdown. Now let's trace a spur of the inner circuit road that really penetrates the docks area. It begins as a continuation of Redcliffe Way, right in front of a parish church that tries, more than any other in the country, to be a cathedral. St Mary Redcliffe. We can see a roundabout from its north porch. A 2-level junction replaces it, and a new highway heads westwards. A fixed bridge replaces the bascule swing bridge, and the road then slices across the corner entrance to Queen Square. It hastens onwards down the Grove, between the Georgian Square and the waterfront. At Prince Street, this monumental 19th century tea warehouse, now the Arnolfini Art Centre, is sacrificed. And its neighbour, a handsome rank of merchants' houses built in 1725, is torn down so the road can continue its course westward. The new route holds to its alignment. We can see the proud tower of St Mary Redcliffe behind us in the distance. Now the road launches itself across St Augustine's Reach and into Cannon's Marsh. Upstream, this stretch of water will be closed off to vessels, since the new bridge isn't a swing bridge like Perrot's Bridge. Onwards, forging its way across Millennium Square, close by the at Bristol Science Exploratory. Splicing through developments of waterside apartments. and on to that multi-level junction at Hot Wells. To provide space for roads and offices, large stretches of water right in the middle of the city could now be covered over or reclaimed. And we can see the intentions from on high from Clifton Wood. It's a great spot for finding your bearings. Most of the harbour here would be filled in. From the Lloyds Bank Amphitheatre at the bottom of St Augustine's Reach, Prince's Wharf, Wapping Wharf, and down to Baltic Wharf. But there would be a narrow channel and a series of small lagoons to help the harbour maintain its role in drainage and flood defence. Larger vessels would still be able to visit Cumberland Basin, but only pleasure craft would get access above the basin. The new cut would no longer be tidal. A barrage at its seaward end would make it navigable. It would then be a cruiseway for small craft to access the scaled-down harbour waters, either from a channel into the harbour near the Underfall Dam, or from opening up the Bathurst Basin Lock, sealed during the Second World War. As for the upper reaches of the harbour, well, this stretch would be drained and built on, down as far as Temple Quay. The people of Bristol were alarmed at the prospect of the loss of tall masts and ships at the very heart of the historic port. In 1970, 200,000 of them had turned out to see Brunel's SS Great Britain come home. And by 1974, inflation, the OPEC oil crisis, and lobbying by amenity societies helped to save the docks from destruction. So, the roads weren't built, the harbour wasn't built over. What are we left with? Well, for one, an astonishing interplay of urban and maritime vistas that must be the envy of every other city in the country. Framed to the north by the terraces of Clifton, by Brandon Hill and the Cathedral, and to the south by the green hills of North Somerset. Bristol has a vibrant, mixed-use harbour. We've got leisure activities, cultural events and venues, public spaces, and a community right in the heart of one of Northern Europe's finest water-based cities.